Welcome to You Know What? Musings with Chanel Arigbeshola, the podcast where we endeavor to know better, be better, and do better by examining our lives and the ways in which we navigate the spaces where we find ourselves. I'm your host, Chanel, and I thank you for being here. Before we go any further, please take a moment to subscribe to the podcast so that you won't miss any episodes, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Musings with Chanel. Are you about to do that? Good. Now let's get into our very first episode. You know what? It is okay to not be okay. So I've been thinking a lot about which episode is worthy of being the first one. I've been planning the launch of this podcast in my mind for a long time. But between having babies, a full-time job, a growing family, and a startup business with my husband, the focus just wasn't there. The drive wasn't there. I guess the time wasn't there. But if I'm to be completely honest with myself, the confidence probably wasn't there either. It's one thing to be the queen of the world that you've created for yourself, and it's another thing to put yourself out there. Whenever I would think about the podcast, all the doubt would start creeping in. How would I handle the feedback? What would people say? What would they think? Then I remembered a documentary that I had seen just a few years ago. It was from a Sundance documentary series called Iconoclasts, and I just stumbled upon it randomly on YouTube one day. And in that particular episode, the comedian Dave Chappelle was having a conversation, or multiple conversations really, with Maya Angelou. And this is what she said to him. She said, "One of the things I've learned, or I'm still in the process of learning, is to don't pick it up and don't lay it down. So when someone says you're the best, you're the greatest, you're the most wonderful, you're the finest and the artist of the time and blah, blah, you say, if you pick that up, you also have to pick it up when they say, you're nothing, you've lost it, you used to be, and what happened? So I don't pick it up and I don't lay it down." Well, let me tell you, when I first saw the episode, Maya Angelou's words just stopped me in my tracks. Why? Because they rang true. It is absolutely essential to our well-being that we practice healthy detachment from the expectations and approval, or really the disapproval, of other people. Now I know, I'm also a living being, and I know that is way easier said than done, because we're social by nature, right? And really, who doesn't like to be liked? But trust me when I say that it is necessary to separate public opinion from how you value yourself, from your worth. Tying how you feel about yourself to what others think or feel about you is a recipe for disaster guaranteed. I mean, that's an emotional roller coaster that none of us really need to be on. But think about how many times you've actually been there. Too many. Now let's be clear. This is not me saying that we should disregard everything that others have to say about us. Because I know, and you know, that feedback, the objective, constructive kind, is often needed. The point here is that the feedback simply does not determine our value. It should not. What someone else thinks or says about you does not define your being, and it really doesn't capture your essence. It can. It's simply that person's perspective. The view that they have on life and the view that they have on you. Now, isn't that something? For years, I've been working on that. The whole detaching myself from what other people think thing. And I'll probably be working on it for years to come. But I've gotten better at it. And the better I get at practicing that detachment, the more fulfilling my life becomes because I feel more free to do the things that I actually want to do. And I think that can be true for all of us. But then there's a thing called ego, which in essence is the view that you have of yourself. Your sense of self-esteem or your sense of self-importance. Now I know people have lots of different feelings about the role of the ego. Whether it's all good, whether it's all bad, is it necessary? Is it healthy, unhealthy? How much of it should you have? But that's not really what I'm trying to get into, at least not today. The angle I'm taking with this one is looking at ego and looking at ourselves and where we become so prideful and self-conscious that we cripple ourselves and we stunt our growth because we don't want to fail, or we don't want others to see us fail, or we don't want to feel vulnerable in a space where we're doing something new. If we're honest, that's a load of BS. Excuse my French. One of my fears is that I'll be old and gray and full of regrets. Regrets about the things that I did not do because of what I thought people would say about me. And also because of the negative things that I said to myself. No, thank you, ma'am. I'm not interested in that anymore. Not over here. So let's ponder on some questions, if you will. What would you do if you were able to live your entire life as if no one was watching? What things would you do that you've been too afraid to try? Who are you unto yourself, independent of all the things, good or bad, that people have said about you? Do you know the answer to any of those questions? I mean, you don't have to. Not today. It's fine if you don't. But the great thing is that we are even considering this line of thought. And I feel like with everything that's going on in the world right now, it's probably a good time to reintroduce yourself to you. Now, I don't know about you, but I would say that we are off to a great start with this podcast. If any of this is resonating with you, then definitely let me know in the reviews or in the comments on Facebook and Instagram at Musings with Chanel. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow. That kind of stuff is like positive motivation, right? It'll encourage me to keep working on the episodes for you. Okay, so where did I stop? Yes. We stopped at the fact that with everything that's going on in the world right now, it's a good time to reintroduce yourself to you. Speaking of you, how are you? Like really, how are you? Now, I know some of you may be doing just great, absolutely peachy, and that's fantastic. But I also know that a lot of you may not quite be there. Dear 2020, what a year you're turning out to be. Now, perspective is absolutely important. And I'm definitely not one of those people out here to tell you that everything is crap and the year has been no good in any way. I'm more of a glass half full kind of girl. Everything has not been crap. Good things have happened. So I'm not speaking that kind of negativity into reality, but I'm also living in the same world that you are. And I am well aware that this year has been extremely challenging in so many ways. Lots of things have occurred, are occurring, and will occur that we just can't control. We are living through the COVID-19 pandemic and all that entails, while navigating a tense political climate. Then we're battling the truth that racism still exists. I mean, we knew that, but this year has been a lot. Plus, people are out here dying, others are struggling, losing their loved ones, losing their means of livelihood. It's scary sometimes. It's exhausting. These are tough times, rough times. So the message for you is one that I shared on Instagram and Facebook. Again, I mentioned the handle there is at Musings with Chanel, and I shared that a few weeks ago. The message simply said that it is okay to not be okay. Think about it. We spend so much time acting like we're fine when we're not. People ask us how we're doing and we answer without thinking about it. And really, most times people ask us how we're doing, they kind of move on before you could even answer, right? I don't know if they're really asking or that's the new way to say hello. But anyway, I've digressed. I was saying that we're out here pretending to be okay when we are not. So if we think about that, who exactly are you acting for? And what's the prize that you win from pretending that you have it all together when you don't? When you say you're okay, but you're not, what's the gain there? Okay, let me say this quickly. How you feel, whether you're okay or you're not okay, I understand that that information is not for everybody, right? Some people really don't care if you're okay or not. But I'm talking about your support system, the trusted people. Why are you pretending? Is there a prize? I don't really think so. You are an entire human being with all of the emotions and the complications and the feelings that go with that. I think it's okay for you to not be okay sometimes. In the post, I wrote the following, and it's worth saying again. So here goes. There's a lot going on in the world right now. Too much. There might be a lot going on in your personal life as well. Possibly too much. There may also be a lot going on at the intersection where your personal life stuff meets the outside world stuff. Also too much. It is okay to not be okay. Feel all of your feelings. But while you're doing that, focus on the things that you can actually control. Then start doing them. As much as you may want to run and hide, just don't stay in that mental space. Use everything in life that is a lot as fuel to take you to your next steps. Be a part of the solution as you see it. The quality of your life depends on your mindset and what you do with everything that life is bringing your way. Even when it's unfair. Even when it's a lot. Now that was the end of the post. But I'd really like you to take a moment to think about how you feel. How you really feel. And then allow yourself the luxury of sitting with those feelings. I know. It's probably crazy uncomfortable. But we have to start getting familiar with the uncomfortable spaces within ourselves. Because the way to the other side is not to go around it or to ignore it, but we have to go through it. So take a deep breath and breathe. However long it takes. Pause the podcast if you have to. And just calm down for a minute. Start working on finding your calm, your peace. Not just today, but every day. Keep working on it. The quality of your life depends on it. Now, I don't know if this was helpful. I'm hoping so. Or I'm hoping that at least it has you thinking more about how you're navigating the world. Don't just be a passerby. Be an active participant and take control of your own life and all the things that you can control. It won't solve everything around you, but you won't feel as helpless when confronted with the things that you cannot control. Because you've taken stock of your feelings, you've gotten better at knowing who you are, You're keeping the faith. So don't be disheartened. Keep on pushing. Keep going. I said, keep going. So let's see. We've touched on healthy detachment from the opinions of others. We've touched on ego a bit, pride sometimes working against us. And then we made our way over to the fact that it is perfectly okay to not be okay. With the understanding that we don't want to dwell in that place forever, but rather we should keep our eyes towards the things that we can control. We should be active participants in our own lives rather than letting life just happen to us. It's important to keep the faith and to keep going, which brings me to some thoughts about what it's like when you have your eyes on a prize. So here goes. The truth is that it can sometimes feel like a long and lonely road when you're working towards a goal. And this feeling is independent of how many people you know, how many people support you, how many people love you, how many followers you have, how many likes you got on a post. I don't know, whatever it is that you get your external gratification from. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. This feeling is independent of all of that. And part of why it feels like a long and lonely road when you're working towards a goal is because only you can clearly see the details of what you're trying to do, what you're working on, what you're manifesting over there. No one can hop into your mind and know all the things that you have in there. It doesn't work that way. And then it's a long process because it's a journey. Things don't happen overnight. You have to work at it. And sometimes while you're working on it, the vision changes, right? The course changes. Sometimes you have to start all over again. Sometimes you have absolutely no clue about what you're going to do next. And then, when you're by yourself working on something, or even if you have support, it's just hard to stay motivated sometimes. Sometimes there are competing priorities. And then there are those times when you simply feel like you do not have the energy. Sometimes you forget why you're making the sacrifice. You'll ask yourself, why am I even doing this? Well, I'm here to break the news to you. I'm breaking a lot of news today, actually. I'm here to break the news to you that it being a long and sometimes lonely journey doesn't mean that it's not worth it. I dare to approach it from another angle, where I've realized that there is some work that we actually must do alone when we're working towards certain goals. It's your thing, not anyone else's. So my encouragement is that we shouldn't be disheartened because the fruits of our labor have not yet arrived. Keep working, they're coming. Don't lose faith because your toiling is in silence. Be encouraged by the promise of what you're trying to achieve. Keep working hard. Appreciate and respect the process. The only way to get to your destination is to keep going. Don't give up. It'll be worth it. And if you believe that there's a God the way that I believe that there's a God, then put your trust in Him. Everything is going to work out as it's supposed to. Don't give up. I say it again. Keep pushing. Keep going. Well, would you look at that? We made it to the end of our very first episode. If you're still here, I appreciate you. I feel so blessed and fortunate to have this platform where I could reach so many of you. Let me be honest with you. The reason why I'm doing this podcast is because I know that these times are difficult, and I know how it feels sometimes to be going through lots of feelings, and you just need some encouragement, and you feel as though you don't have anyone to talk to because everyone else has their life going on. And I just want to be that place where you can come and get a dose of something that's real, something that's positive, so that you can feel energized to go about and do the things that you have to do. Like, I want to be like a cheerleader, if you will. I just want to be of service, right? And really and truly, it's not an exaggeration to say that I have a lot going on, right? I have 2 kids, under 2. My son is going to turn 2 later on in this month. And my daughter is 4.5 months old. And we are busy. They're both at home, because it's COVID and we prefer to keep them here so that they can be all safe. And we have the luxury to do that because my husband and I are both working from home. But it's tough, right? Because we're working from home and the kids are at home all day. And so there really isn't time. But I feel as though I have a purpose here. And if one person felt a bit better listening to this podcast, then that's my target. I know people are going through a rough time. And I just want to be a safe place for you to come and listen and enjoy and let me know what's going on, and for you to feel encouraged to go to the next stage or to take the next step, to do the next thing. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm just constantly thinking of what can I say in this podcast to serve you. With that being said, again, please subscribe, like and follow the podcast on Instagram and Facebook at Musings with Chanel. And if there's a topic or question that you'd like me to explore, then don't hesitate to send it over to me. You might just hear me talking about it in one of the episodes. Write a review if you like. I just want to hear from you. Alrighty then. I think that's it for now. Thank you again for listening. Be well and take care. Until next time.